Hello and welcome back. Oh my goodness. I look like an alien, which is exactly what I wanted. Wow. Alright. Hello and welcome, you guys. I don't even know what I'm doing here because I'm still playing a game. But I also want to do a reading. I don't have my cards. Maybe I should get my cards. Alright, we're back. Oh, this is a little bit warm. Let me just... This is crazy. Alright. Turn it off. Please sleep for a bit. Alright, so... Oh my goodness gracious. We got... First of all, we have tarot cards. One in black, and then we have the romantic deck. And I hope I'm well. Let me see here. That's it. Alright. That's good enough. I have some time cards here, and I think we're gonna use them to kind of look at what kind of time frame we're gonna explore. And then I also, this is just a random thing, I have some old Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I got as a gift when I was younger. And I've kept them, and recently I sleeved a bunch of them. Unfortunately, I don't have more sleeves, so we're just going to use these. I have more, but yeah, we're just going to focus on these, and then I'm just going to pick one of them, maybe interpret the color and look at what kind of information we can get from these cards in this context, right? So, yeah, just a little device, a little tool right there with some fun, nerdy cards. Don't we love it? Alright, so first I'm gonna have these cards. They're in German, so I'm gonna have to translate them, but yeah, please, source, give us a time frame that we are looking at collectively in this reading right now that I'm doing. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Please send it out if you can. You can also take one. I'm gonna pick, but how should I pick it? Okay. Okay. Well, that's very vague. Thank you. For nothing. Well, we're still gonna take it. It's information, but it says there's no right time. Just feel out the mood in your immediate environment and act spontaneously or react spontaneously, which is something. It's not a specific time, of course, but yeah, we're gonna remember that. I'm gonna put it right here so we can remember. So this feels like maybe it's not, it's a timeless reading. It could be for any time. But I think if you know, you will know. So we're going to probably describe something more specific. So maybe it's a specific situation, and then when it comes up, you will realize, oh, this reminds me of that reading, right? Like, maybe something like this will happen, but there's definitely no right time, which is like, okay, maybe there, you might ask for something like, when would be the right time to do this and that, or like, what could I expect at that time, or I don't know. But it's telling us to trust our senses, because it feels like we already will know what it is. Interesting, we got the Five of Swords, which I got that recently again, so... And that always gives me like, yeah, I don't know, half vibe, because this particular card, when I first learned about it, it stood out to me as more negative, but I don't necessarily align with that anymore. Like, it depends. I remember that when I was reading it last time in the context of my own personal reading, it was like, it was like a bridge, because there is a bridge in here, and it was kind of like, I interpreted as like bridging the gap and all that. I don't know how you can actually focus on this one. I don't know how to do that, so unfortunately, because this is also the inner camera, so the outer camera might be better at that. Well, alright, so, oh, we're actually in new moon right now, in Gemini, which is my month. Oh, I didn't realize. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I'm definitely gonna have to do something. But yeah, new moon reading, I would say. Maybe, that's the thing. I think they can also tell you new moon or something like that, which it didn't. So it's not specifically tied to the new moon, but it could be in similar phases potentially. Um, it's about planning ahead, right? Establishing goals, aligning with yourself, kind of like a clean slate. Makes sense, right? Um, and then with Gemini right now, it's like that adaptive, agile communication, air energy, right? Connection, and that's why I was thinking about the bridge, because it's kind of like a connection, right? Where people may have burned bridges, I'm still standing on that bridge. Um, and also, I would always prefer the reading that comes more intuitively rather than the general meaning of things. Of course, you work around those meanings, but it also depends on the specific deck if it has like a specific portrayal. Um, but technically, that's the thing. This can be read in very different ways, because it's unbridled ambition and winning at all costs, and can also be like that sneaky energy. But if we're looking at the world the way it is, there's a lot of sneaky energy going on, right? If you want to bridge the gap, maybe you need to be a little bit sneaky, to even be able to get people at the same table, right? Like, maybe you've seen, skits like that where people would tell different people different things, and then they try to get them together as like a friend group, right? Like, they're trying to rekindle their relationship because they maybe had a falling out or something, I'm thinking of something like that. So I can choose to step back from a fight if the only thing on the line is my ego. So you'd rather not fight, or you want to win at all costs, right? Like, what is it worth to you, and how much are you willing to fight for, and like actually like risk your life for? Or would you rather, try a different route, I guess? Um, let me see if we can get some more. Please give me some more source. Please send it out and give it to me straight. Oh, we don't want no bullshit. This one, okay, both of these flipped around. Interesting. 9 of Cups and 2 of Wands. Alright. So, see, that's the thing. I think because I'm getting this bridge energy again, and it's really coming through here, and it's about those, decisions, making also the decision to do something sneaky if you're not really that kind of person can also be difficult. But if you're like, oh, I want to do the right thing, and I want to really I just need to do this, and it doesn't matter how I'm going to do it. I just need to do it because it's the right thing to do, or whatever, you know. And it's not about fighting your way through. It's more about like standing literally on the bridge that may have been burned already, like being able to uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Persevere? No, to overcome uncomfortable situations or something. Like, I'm thinking of this meme where this dog is sitting in a burning house and saying, "This is fine. This is fine." You're like that a little bit. But with the Nine of Cups here, which is satisfaction, emotional stability, luxury, maybe that's something that will come up out of that experience. I know my worth. It's that luxury also. knowing your own worth, maybe that will also help you to be able to do that, I think. Because what people may be doing, if you are trying to get into a fight, they might insult you because they're like, why are you trying to get us together? We're enemies, you know? And then they might try to project that onto you, even though you're not the one, right? But you need to be able to handle that, to be able to overcome that, and then still help people come together, is what I'm getting here. Uh, and the Two of Wands, of course, is a choice or planning something, making some kind of decisions. And it can also be like leaving home. So maybe this also, this could represent a few things. Of course, you could have more decisions ahead because there actually is a ground for negotiation or something, right? But it could also be leaving the comfort zone, right? Leaving your own home, meaning that was what you felt comfortable in, meaning maybe not getting involved in things, not, standing on that bridge, um, not feeling like you can handle people insulting you or whatever, like projecting things onto you that have nothing to do with you, um, but still feeling hurt by it or something. But now you've maybe, reached that part of your life where you can see it from a different perspective and you also feel that in your body and you're like, I'm ready to do this now because this cannot hurt me. This is not about me. I know who I am too much, and I respect myself to let this get me down and like affect my actions, right? Eight of Swords. Uh, Eight of Swords. What I was just talking about. Imprisonment, entrapment, self-victimization. Maybe that's, the thing with those is always like, it can come up, of course. If you're going through these things and you realize that you're doing something different than you used to, which was maybe that kind of like self-victimization or imprisonment, entrapment, something like that. And of course, it's very uncomfortable to feel that. And you're kind of like able to go through that experience now without, letting go or without avoiding it, without completely breaking down, whatever it may be, whatever made it difficult, in the first place. But how does it end then? How does it end here? Oh, yes. This just makes perfect sense. I'm sorry, but like this just makes like I can't make this up. This just came out. But anyways, we got the Hanged Man, which essentially tells us here with also the question, how does this end then? It's you letting go. It's you completely letting go of those things and being freed by that, even though the Hanged Man is kind of like this, but you're free in that experience of like, I realize what is happening now, and now I can move on with that. I can just let it be and still do what I need to do and still enjoy my life, for example, or still, go there and do that and be in that uncomfortable situation and still make it through and not feel like my entire life is over now or whatever it is, or I feel like I can't feel joy anymore. I can't just let go. I'm just always like restless or whatever it is. Um, and this can, of course, be at any time. This is not like a specific time. This can come up again and again in life, right? But whenever these situations happen where you maybe you're in a conflict or something, you're trying to like really win something, really do something, but maybe the methods weren't helpful because you were too invested, that you took things too personal, right? And now you're learning to let go more and be like, you know what, this has nothing to do with me. I don't even have to think about this. Why am I like even wasting time thinking about this situation when I could also just work more on what I was actually trying to do, or resting, or doing things that are more helpful for you rather than just, shaming yourself or whatever it may be. Um, hmm, that came through really well. Um, we can maybe look at some of the colors as well because I'm seeing some red here in between cards, and of course we have one major arcana, which is that letting go, Hanged Man energy. So that's definitely the overall result of this. And this is also about, they say sense your mood in your environment, and you will sense that, of course. If there's maybe also sneaky behavior around you, right? That could also be the case, that there may be sneaky behavior around you, and there may be people who want to win at all costs and don't care about collateral damage, and you may be part of that collateral damage. Who knows? But for you, it's not about focusing on that anymore. It's about, focusing on your own worth, remembering who you are, remembering, like, what got you there in the first place, you know, being, and the luxury in this case, of course, it could be monetarily, but I think because it's the cups, it's more that abundance of emotional stability, of knowing that you can come to yourself and know that you will have emotional support, right? And we have the red turban here, which is the divine, so like maybe the divine masculine energy here or something. And then also with the blue feather above, is that like unconscious knowing, that divine knowing, that protection, maybe also a bit healing energy, kind of. It's very much that spiritual knowledge also, like maybe that, you already know that things are much bigger than this one situation, and I don't have to get consumed with this situation right now. I can just let it happen, you know. And I also can think that I can control everything. Um, and then also here with the Two of Wands, which is that leaving home, but also making decisions, energy, planning something. It's like that guy is doing something at the other guy's, clothes, right? Like he's trying to like adjust something, put something in there, put like a rose in there. So it's kind of like it's red, right? So I'm looking at again the divine kind of energy that is usually in tarot. Um, and you're kind of, working with the divine, kind of like preparing it and making sure that it looks well and that everything works well, and that you're being attentive with it, and you can tell that yes, the divine is feeling itself, right? Like the divine is like, yes, thank you. I'm like, this is great. I look great. Um, and it's also kind of like the way this person's expression looks is like, yes, I knew you were gonna do it. I knew it. You're doing exactly the right thing. Like it's the person wants to say something, but it's not. He's not expressing it, but he's like, yes, I knew it. You're making the right choice. You're making the right choice, and you're planning, and you're acknowledging me, acknowledging that divine energy and that divine whatever. And then what else? See, I was looking also at the figure behind, because we see a lot of like silver or iron figures of women in these depictions, and she's kind of like, I don't know, she's holding the two wands, which are supposed to represent the wands, and she also kind of looks like towards something, like up towards something, like maybe that's also kind of that like energy of like looking forward to planning something, looking forward meaning planning something, right? But looking into the future and being like, yes, like being very content and being confident about the future, um, and being attentive while doing it. And then of course the Eight of Swords is, you can see a woman kind of like, she kind of looks like a nun or something. She's kind of like grieving and sitting there and being like in contemplation, sitting there like, okay, I'm like really grieving that loss or whatever I had to deal with. I'm like, I feel imprisoned in that feeling, I guess, because it's kind of like, oh, now I'm like the grieving victim, right? Even though grief is fine. But I think the way I'm interpreting it though is that because there is a guy behind her and he's like just standing there. He's very like, he's not making fun or anything. He's just like very content and like, yeah, I'm just here, you know. And he's just like working with his beard, and he has this red coat on. So it was like, okay, this is again the divine kind of like looking at you and being like, okay, you're grieving, and that's great. You're looking at it. You're looking at the self-victimization that you may have been a victim of in the past, literally, like a victim of self-victimization. Um, but it's also kind of good because you realize that, oh, I made my own prison, so actually everything's fine. And maybe there are dangerous things out there, of course, but you don't have to hold back everything just to be safe, right? Like you can still make informed decisions about how you express yourself at what point and where you go and what you do and all that, right? You're not as restricted as you think, as you believe. You may have been made to believe that, you may have been conditioned to believe that, but it's not really true. And the divine, of course, knows, but you and your body are still experiencing all of those things, right? And then, of course, the hangman, that's the end here, and the hangman here is very much tied up and locked up, but you're like, whatever, I'm hanging in there, and maybe it could be also interpreted in different ways, as in like, you just accept your prison. I don't think that's the case necessarily, but maybe it's that idea of like accepting that this was the case, that you were imprisoned by yourself in a way, and that can also lead to some grief or being like, damn, I wish I could have just, but it doesn't. It's releasing that, and it's sacrifice, martyrdom, maybe, you know, not seeing yourself as a victim will kind of flip that, right? And then you will see maybe I was also the perpetrator of certain things, or maybe I just need to take action in certain ways that I couldn't before because I was limited in my mindset or whatever it was. And of course, there are limitations. It's not like there are no limitations. Of course, it's, nuance, and it will depend on who you are and what your life is like and what you actually have power over and what you don't have power over, right? But it's about releasing all of that because it's also releasing the guilt and the shame about the things that you can't control. And it's giving you the power and the realization of, oh, actually, there are things that I can control. And these things actually make a big impact, maybe on myself, on my own well being, or on the people around me. And it may to you not even seem that big of a deal, right? You may have underestimated certain things that are easy to you, but the things that are easy to you may be of great help to other people because they may not have that skill. They may not have that, easy access to this and that, whatever it may be. It could be, very simple things of like inner things, right? Like emotional maturity or seeing things from a different perspective or whatever it is. Or maybe you're very comforting. Maybe you can be, very good at just comforting people and being around people and supporting them in whatever they're going through. And, that could be something, right? And you're sacrificing yourself in that way, but you're still having boundaries because maybe if you are that kind of person, there's a good chance that in the past you may have overextended yourself. People may have used you for those things, but it's about using discernment, right? Who actually deserves you giving them your time? People will also give them your time and give you them, my God, give you their time, right? Who take care of you, you can also take care of them. They take care of you in different ways. Maybe they don't have that, emotional capacity, but you have that, so you give that to them, and they also learn from you how to do it, right? And you learn from them how to do maybe more practical things, right? It's about that give and take and that exchange of energy. It's supposed to be reciprocal. It's not supposed to be one-sided either way, but it is okay for you to like step back and just take a second to look at, okay, is this appropriate right now? Am I giving too much? Am I not giving enough? And hanging in that uncertainty, and maybe also sometimes doing the wrong thing, quote unquote, where you feel bad, or letting those things go and just letting yourself learn and grow as you go, right? I think that feels perfect as like this thing. And I feel like this kind of message, of course, can come up at any time. So whenever you feel like this, this resonates with you, or this is something I need to remember right now, that's when this will come in handy. So yeah, I hope this helped you in any way. Was nice talking to you, Sensitive Gangsters. And please remember that joy is resistance. So please, please, I don't even know what I'm doing. please keep resisting, alright? And I am not afraid and not ashamed of who I am, and maybe if I sometimes, talk in a certain way or do this and that or whatever, do some too many hand gestures, or what even is that? What even is too many? What even, we're not defining that right now, but yeah, I love this kind of little alien look. I love, using colors and metaphors and meaning to improve my mental health, to improve my life, not to, control my life, but rather to give myself pointers in my life that help me remember things, that help me remember and ground myself. And that's really, really powerful, can be very powerful. And before I end this video, actually, I want to pull a Yu-Gi-Oh card because I said it in the beginning. Of course, they're organized, so now I have something to organize afterwards again, because usually I have them organized. So, anyways, oh, this is actually, is it? Yes, and that's why I'm gonna take it, because this just fell out, and it's one of my favorite ones that I had at that time. I was always looking at it because it's like shiny, and it's one of the first characters, because from the cost of the card, it made sense to organize it in that way, that it would come first, because it's one of the strongest. And of course, it's German. You're not going to be able to read it, but it's Schwarz glänzender Soldat, which is black soldier, but like what's the word for glänzend? It's like shiny, like black shiny soldier. And yeah, you can see it here, maybe a little bit, and you can see it's kind of holographic, right? So yeah, unfortunately you can't read it, but it's not important for it. So first of all, the card entirely is like blue, which is, oh, interesting. So the entire thing is blue, which is that spiritual, um, that intuition, that kind of connection, and also throat chakra. So speaking the truth, speaking your truth, activating that part, uh, again. And yeah, if we look back at the reading, things that you can remember always when there are conflicts, or that you remember the divine, right? That you are protected, that you can let go, that you can take your time, and you have that knowing because of that divine connection with the blue, right? That intuition. But you have to tap into that to, but it's always there, you just have to access it. Um, hmm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. I think in numerology is like abundance, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm going to check it again just to make sure. Because we have 8 stars here. I think that's the payment method. I'm not sure. I never actually learned how to play this properly, so because I was really young and I didn't even understand it at the time. But yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Ambitions, authority, and also balance between the material and the spiritual worlds. So I feel like this is maybe that thing that you are balancing out more, and that makes you more able to be in these difficult situations and be more present in those situations and not being too overwhelmed by it. And it makes sense because it's also, we can see this also has like elemental things being organized into elemental categories. I don't know. And this is Earth, and this one is Earth, so that makes sense with the groundedness, right? And leadership roles, reflecting a strong drive for achievement. I mean, that makes sense. Once you have everything balanced out, you're actually like wanting to be able to do something, wanting to do something with that, creating something, making something happen. Because now it seems possible. Maybe in the past it didn't seem possible. You had problems that you couldn't really explain, couldn't really, pin down, but because of these situations that they were so uncomfortable for you, that you couldn't possibly think about putting yourself into those kind of situations, right? You would avoid them, which makes sense because it protects you. It's a natural thing to do, right? It makes sense. Your body wants to protect you, your brain wants to protect you. So But now you are at a point where your root chakra, your own self, knowing and that confidence and trusting yourself is more there. And then we also look at the root chakra as a color is red, right? And then of course in tarot it means something different, but for the root chakra we also have a lot of red in these cards. And if I look again at the two of wands here, where you're making that suit and you're like, oh, putting the flower in the suit, that's the self-confidence that's working with that root, um, knowing that root confidence in yourself and that trust in yourself that you can do it, right? You're learning that and you're really working with that and you're really looking at the thing, and you're looking at the self-victimization. You're looking at it right in the face. You're confronting it. You're not looking away from it. And that makes you also more able to let go, because it's not a dirty secret or anything. It's not something that is taboo, that you haven't tapped into, that is just unconscious. You're actively pulling it to the front, and you're like literally looking at it to be like, oh, this is what it is. Okay, now I can put it to the side because now I've read it. Now I'm like aware, what it is, and now I have it here. I can still look at it, but I'm moving on because I've looked at it now, and now I've processed it in my own brain, in my own body. I've gone through it. All right, and that's it. It's essentially like a worksheet that, maybe in school you get a worksheet, you're like, oh, you're actually doing it now. You're actually doing the exercise. Oh, okay, I did the exercise, now I've learned what I needed to learn. It's still there if I ever need to access it again, but probably this is like a, basic thing for you now, because now you've already reached a higher level of education. So this is something that is more easy to you now, right? So yeah, that's really giving that energy of like spiritual, just what's the word I'm looking for, like graduation, or like leveling up in a way. I don't want to say it like superior, but just moving on to a different phase of your life, which is not better or worse. It's just different. It's just at a different time, right? And you're at a different level of consciousness where you can just work with different ideas, because you've now unblocked something maybe that has kept you away from those ideas, or kept you away from opening those doors within yourself, right? That's how I kind of mean it in this case. So yeah, I think we're gonna end it here. I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I'm gonna remind you again that joy is resistance. So please keep resisting, all right? And try to connect with yourself. Try to connect with other people. Try to ground yourself as much as you can. Also, don't punish yourself for having a bad day. That's not gonna help you. Try to be gentle with yourself. Try to love yourself. Try to love other people as much as possible, and take your own time to rest if you need it, and don't beat yourself up for every little thing, and don't get hung up on little things. Move on, move forward, and make your own way clear of that, so you can actually do it, because that's your actual goal. Your goal is not to sit in guilt all of your life. That's not going to help anybody. You actually want to move forward. You want to live. You want to make mistakes, because if you make mistakes, you can learn so much more than not doing them and just trying to avoid them all your life. It's better to just do it sometimes. Of course, don't overdo it. Don't be reckless, but let mistakes happen, and it's okay. It's not that big of a deal, right? It's something that is supposed to happen, so you can learn from them, and people know that other people also go through these things, so you're not alone in that. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna love you and leave you, sensitive gangsters. Bye bye.